We knew there'll be some interest in this area, but it's phenomenal. And the evolution of influencer marketing is going in such an exciting direction. Everyone thinks, is it the end of influencer marketing? And actually, I think we're just getting started.
So Tom, welcome to the Fireside Chat.
Thank you, Nick.
It's brilliant to see you. It's been so long, actually, because we worked together way back, and we'll get onto that in a bit. But you are on a little bit of a journey at the moment with GIFTA. And so it'd be great just to kind of find out where you're at now with GIFTA and kind of where you think it's going.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really exciting time. We noticed a massive gap in the influencer industry 5 years ago, and we wanted to delve into that to really work out if there was value for brands and supporting agencies as well. And the influencer gifting world, which we are in, has grown massively. The ability to work with micro and nano influencers on scale. Brands want that more than ever because they want to find new ways in which they can connect with consumers and ultimately drive trust. So we're seeing this wave of brands and agencies come to us, which we weren't expecting. We knew there'll be some interest in this area, but it's phenomenal. And the evolution of influencer marketing is going in such an exciting direction. Everyone thinks, is it the end of influencer marketing? And actually, I think we're just getting started. And there's so many elements to it of which is gonna, move in a very phenomenal rate.
Yeah, and for the purpose of people listening, influencer marketing is certainly something new to me, and I'm learning a lot about it. Can you just give an idea of an example of what that influencer marketing looks like?
Yeah, of course. So we specialize in influencer gifting and seeding. So we see products out to micro and nano influencers, but on a really big scale for brands. We give them the ability to choose the influencers they want to work with. We deal with all the strategy and the influencer comms. We look after all the fulfillment, distribution, and personalization of the product as well. So if you can imagine big brands like Unilever and Heinz, Kellogg's, they just want to get their products into people to try it, to feel it, to really test it out and see if it works for them. And we give them the ability to do that. So we make it really easy to put the products into their hands, and we allow them then to create the content that they really want to create. But also what we do is make sure we treat them like consumers first and influencers second. And that's really important in driving trust with consumers. It's a really simple model. If they love it, they share it. If they don't love it, they tell us why they don't like it. So there's a value exchange. If they don't do anything, we just don't work with them again. And then we track all the content afterwards, and we can also amplify the content to further audiences. And the really exciting thing here is that brands can't drive their own trust, or they struggle. Consumers struggle to trust brands. So if we can get people to talk on behalf of those brands for them, then we have this wonderful ability for the brands to get cut through and build trust with consumers like never before. And it's word of mouth marketing at its very best.
Yeah, and you've mentioned trust 3 or 4 times within the past couple of minutes, and I think it's such a value, right, to have trust in people. And I think what you're saying is actually bringing it to the human experience, the raw element of allowing someone to talk about a product. It really gives it gravitas, doesn't it? It really puts it on the map, rather than it being kind of like worded from an agency, or it's driven by the actual company themselves. They've got real people saying real words about their product, and that's got to be huge to build trust.
It has, and I think the problem in the influencer industry is stemmed from brands controlling output from influencers, and brands are so used to controlling traditional media channels, whether it be TV, out of home, or standard ads, that when influencers came along and they were paying them large sums of money, there's risk involved. So they'll follow that up with a really strict contract. The problem is then we're treating influencers like a traditional media channel, and you can't, because they're real people. They have human emotions. They have opinions on products and opinions on the world. And ultimately what we need to do is just make sure the product's in the hands of the right people. And regardless of if you pay them or you gift to them, what we need to do is relinquish control so we can watch and we can learn. And I think understanding the influencer as a consumer first allows us to learn so much more and allows us to grow not just our marketing, but also allows us to grow our business because we can change our products, we can understand more about our competitors, and we get that landscape view that we don't necessarily see from other marketing channels as well.
I love it, mate, and it's certainly for us, you know, as a small business as we are, gaining trust from people is one of the key ingredients for us, because you're constantly churning that out, aren't you? You're trying to establish relationships, and having real people talk about that is key to it. I think it's actually, as daft as it sounds, back to basics.
Yes.
And done in a really creative way.
Yes.
But I think, you know, we've done a couple of these now. The back to basics gets lost in so many companies now out there trying to be creative in the wrong way, when actually the most creative things come from people and that human experience of how you would deal with it, how you would talk to it, what is it that makes you feel differently about this product. So I love the whole, you know, landscape of it, like you said, and where it's going. And I'm chuffed to bits for you, mate, because
Thank you.
It's one of those things where you watch a journey, and albeit we didn't work for long together, there was something there that we got on, and there was a spark, and it's just seeing where you are now is kudos to you.
Thank you.
If we go back,
yeah,
there's a lot of things that clearly make you who you are, and also to start your own business. And you know, if we really go back to the beginning, what was childhood like? What was the hard parts? What were the good parts? What's led you to be Tom Higgins today?
I mean, I really struggled at school. I love school for the social element, but academically, I struggled. I literally couldn't get my head around certain subjects, was asked to do things that I didn't really want to do. I had this time where I would sit in class and then I'd just be looking out the window or my brain was just moving in different directions. It was like the teacher talking in front of me just wasn't stimulating me enough. It was always easy to like nip to side to see what someone else was writing. And I think with all these things, it's trying to really understand more about yourself. And the elements of my parents also helped me massively as well. So my mum is the most supportive person in the world. She'd be there and let me know that I could do absolutely everything. Whereas my dad on the other side also gave me insight into understanding more about money as well. So he was always down, he had these full-time jobs. He was also down the car auctions and he'd buy and selling cars. At one point he was, selling phones as well. And I think there's lots of these elements that you kind of move on and you don't really understand at the time, but they have a big influence on you moving forward. Even through to when I was 12, I saw my friends having paper round businesses and I'd ask them how much money they were making from it. And it might be a few pound a week. And then I speak to my dad about doing something completely different. And I said, well, shall I start a car washing business? And then he quickly gave me the basic tools, create an advert. This is your booking sheet. Go around on a Friday, book people in for Saturday. We'll get your main products ready. This bucket, sponge, got your bike, off you go. And then you can understand the cost of it. And then you can quite quickly offset the cost and start planning to move forward. So all of a sudden, I was working less than my friends, but I was making, £70 on a Saturday versus a few pounds. So the understanding was like, if you can create value and you can create something you can continuously resell, then you have this wonderful opportunity to have something that gives you more freedom, but also is giving a lot back for other people as well. And I think school was it was difficult for me. It was very difficult for me because I was pushed into all these classes that I just wasn't academically maybe interested in. I was struggling at English, but I was still told to do maths or science or English. So it was this worry that Tom had to keep doing these classes, but ultimately he's not doing the basic classes very well already as well. So it wasn't until I kind of moved on and through secondary school, and again then even I had like so many different businesses on the side. I was selling Pokemon cards or USB pens or creating little leather wallets that I put phones in. There was always something on the side that I was hustling. And I think that is the kind of the realization that my brain was just trying to think of different things in different ways. I mean, it wasn't until then I went into A levels and I did business studies, GCSE and A levels, and I could understand maths a lot more because I can read profit and loss and balance sheets. But all of a sudden I wasn't looking at algebra. I was literally looking at something that I could connect to something else, and then I could read it and I can understand it. Yeah. Still now I sit with I'm awful at maths, I'm awful at English, and I have my calculator on my desk and it's my best friend. And it's the realization that, I didn't need to know all these things or be able to recite things from the past in history. I just need the stimulation of things that are now and that I can understand a lot more too.
And it's interesting, Tom, because I think, without going into the education system and the curriculum-based activities that kids get nowadays, I think it's still the same. I think they're taught insight, call it that, knowledge. It's not for everybody.
No.
And sometimes, it seems to me there was an entrepreneurial mindset from, a very early age in your head. Like you say, you probably didn't know about it at the time, but the fact that you were hustling a car wash and you were coming up with these ideas of making money, that then turns into the purpose, doesn't it? The purpose is there. I understand the purpose, and therefore I can deal with that. But everything around it becomes just, wishy-washy and grey areas. If there's a purpose and I can see the basics, A to B to C to D, that kind of was your brain saying, do this now. Yeah. And I think that's really interesting.
It's the flow of one thing to another.
Yeah.
It's a process and it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's allowing your brain the stimulation to think about new things.
Yeah.
And that's really important because as soon as that's why I struggle with working for other companies, because all of a sudden there is processes already in place, so they don't want to go into different directions or new markets or new products, and then you feel restricted.
Yeah.
So there's, I think that if you can try and pick out these traits in people early on, then it can kind of help you work out where you want to go moving forward.
So go back to 12 years old, and this car wash business that was doing £70 on a Saturday.
Yeah.
What traits did you bring to that? Even then, if you look back now and think of 30,000 foot looking down on the Tom Higgins washing them cars, what were the values that you were bringing to the customers even then, before you thought about what was I doing? I'm just cleaning cars. But there must be other things that were attracting people to you.
Yeah, I think ultimately you have a great product, and obviously it's going to be priced very well. So it's going to be half the amount as if they take it around the corner and get someone to done it for them. So it's an easy sell. But I think quite quickly the aspects of sales and marketing and the basics of running that car wash business, understanding the money in, money out, buying your products and making sure you pay your products off as quickly as possible. Did I get a loan from my dad? If I borrowed £100, how do I pay that loan back? Ultimately, it's the very basics. But I think for me, it's creating the product and the solution and then selling it and marketing at the same time. And that, I suppose, has kind of moved on throughout the years, and the understanding that, sales, for example, has got such a bad, it has had such a bad rep around it. But ultimately, if you want to get to a certain point in your career, you need to know how to sell, or a certain level, you need to be able to sell. And there's a connection to marketing at always. And I think they're the key elements for me back then. And then I think that drove me forward from there to be interested in business, be interested in marketing, be interested in sales as well. And I've sold everything. My hardest sales job was when I was at university in Sheffield on a cold Tuesday night. I used to walk around Sheffield selling the Dogs Trust.
Right.
So I've done a bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I've sold programmatic media, and I've sold influencer marketing, and I've sold Pokemon Pokemon cards to kids in the playground. So I think to answer your question, it's the sales, the marketing, but making sure you have the elements of a good product and service at the beginning.
And if you were to give anybody a characteristic that's needed to go into sales and marketing, as a role, any role within that field, what would be the characteristic that you would really hero from a rooftop?
I think you need the determination, because you get knocked down so much. And I think you get to a certain point where so many people will get so frustrated with being rejected, but ultimately, all of a sudden, you just become accustomed for the rejection. It's almost like now, if I get a sale and it's too easy, it hasn't stimulated me enough. And I know that sounds silly, but for me, trying to get a large client over the line that's taken 6 months and it's involved multiple stakeholders, lots of really difficult questions, is so much more stimulating than someone buying straight away. I know that sounds silly, but for me, I'm so used to getting rejected that I'm already ready for the rejection and ready to answer their questions to make sure we move on positively.
And that, yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a way of putting it.
Yeah,
it's probably playing out resilience, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Determination is a great word. I think resilience supports that quite nicely, because if you're not resilient in what you're doing, you're not determined to go further
and further. Yeah.
And I think that's quite the interesting part. There's and it's interesting. Humans, have a whole heap of resilience that we don't really know we have, and I don't think we bring it out enough in that softer elements of when we're having a chat. We're all in the corporate world of like, you got to hit the number, you got to do this, got to do that, and it's all about your job, and it's the goals, it's the objectives. Well, ultimately, resilience has to play a part, and these softer skills, these values that you bring to the table constantly. What's always sparked me about you, Tom, is humility.
Mm.
I think you're really humble. But I think that probably is just hearing your backstory now. It's because of the determination, it's because of the resilience that actually you've related humility to it, because not everything works.
Yeah.
And being humble around what you do and how you do it probably is a real value that sits within you that maybe doesn't come out all the time, but it certainly shows from my side looking in that you're pretty humble as regards what you do. I mean, you were talking to me earlier about, I'm looking at the bank balance and it's there, but I've got to get on to the next one. So it's not a case of, oh, I've made it, I'm egotistical now. It's that humble approach to business that actually probably keeps you striving, because that's the determination and resilience kicking in.
Yeah, I think. I mean, we were discussing before about the ceiling and the floor. At the moment, there is no ceiling. You can go. The world is your oyster, especially when you have a new product in a new and growing industry that everybody's interested in. But at the end of the day, there is no floor in the fact that in a couple of months' time, the business might not be there, and that can come from lots of different purposes or reasons. And that it could be in a few months or it could be in a few years. But if we stay in the mindset that the business is running out of money, then we will always look to make sure the business is in the most healthy position possible. And I think that's the best way. As soon as we become, as soon as we start taking the eye off the ball with that, or we become not so much less interested, but you become accustomed to normality, that's when I think innovation stops and creativity stops, and you're not necessarily driving the team in the right way. But I think, even for me today, I don't know where GIFTA is going right now, and that's really exciting. But ultimately, we have to plan for the worst, and we have to plan for the best as well. But I think, regardless of whatever happens, it doesn't really matter, because then you just want to continue to do the next thing.
Yeah, and it's in the moment as well, Tom. Right?
Yes.
So again, if we think about what you talked about. Literally 5-6 minutes ago, we were talking about the 12-year-old and the younger kid, and you were in the moment.
Yeah.
Everything started to make sense when it was in the moment.
Yeah.
And even now with GIFTA, don't know where it's going, but I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
And as long as we're on the gas,
we'll be all right.
It's making sense, and you'll be all right. I think that's a brilliant way of kind of thinking about business.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of times we can have a 5-year plan, and we can have a 3-year strategy, whatever that is. And then, yes, it's important to have them kind of visions of what you want it to be. But in the moment's the really important part, because that's where you can start to evolve that plan.
Yeah.
And as long as you're kind of thinking about it in the background, that evolvement in the moment is really key, because people talk about pivoting a business. Well, pivots can happen because of stuff that happens. Like, it can happen out of the ordinary. COVID hit.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Things you just don't know.
You just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think being in the moment is a great kind of work ethic to have. And I think that's the most important part from what I've taken just in these last few minutes from where your brain works, is about, I'm in the moment, I can process that. There's a journey to go on, but let's deliver right here, right now, and make sure that we do it in the right way.
I think that's really interesting as well, because I think ultimately, especially when I did business studies at university, create your business plan, make sure your plan's in place, have you got your finance all ready. We never had a business plan. There was never a plan at the beginning.
Right.
We just got on with it. We tested it out. We tried it. And today we have a much better idea of what we're doing with cash flow and organization and hiring and everything else. But back then, if we were just to keep focusing on preparation, we'd never actually get on and do. And one of our mentors, he always says this to me, is like, perfection is the enemy of progress. If you keep trying to perfect something, you're never actually going to get on and do it. And most of the time, so many people come up, I think it's like 95% of people come up with a business idea. Only a small proportion of people put it into action.
Yeah.
And the action is the biggest part. And the action doesn't have to be perfect. Our business is not perfect. It's not perfect today. We're not perfect. We're learning every day. The things that you learn at the beginning are so important. Do you need a perfect website, a wonderful logo right at the beginning? No. Does it have to be picture perfect? No. We made a logo. I think it was on Word, or it was even on Canva. We didn't have a website for the first 6 months, and I think we sold 6 figures worth of services to brands off a Canva deck. Like, they don't care. They just want to know, have you got value? And can we buy it again if it works? And I think most importantly, that's the thing. And you're right, it's in the now. It's just trying to work out what you want to do. Do you have something of value? Can you sell it to somebody? If it works, can you create a case study? Can you go out and sell it to somebody else? Then can you make it better with the feedback you get? That's still what we're doing today, is continuing to listen to our clients to see what it is that they want and don't want, and how can we make our service and our products even better in the future. And we can try our very best to plan for the next 6 to 12 months, but we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what we're going to be asked for. We don't know if we need funding or if we don't need funding. So we just have to keep planning for the moment and see where we end up.
And you mentioned listen there. So I think that's a huge trait that we don't see a lot of. People actually listening to what your feedback is, or to where you may get some constructive feedback or reflection. And I think that how important do you think that part is, that listening part? For anybody listening to this, how important is listening to what people are saying to you?
It's everything, because the listening tells us all the positives and the negatives, and it allows us to grow. It allows us to stop doing things. It allows us to start doing things. If we don't ask enough questions, we don't know. And I've seen so many businesses go down the route of building technology when they don't need to do, or going to a new market because they don't need to do. We just need to listen to our customers, our partners, our staff, our team, and ask more questions to allow them to then come back to tell us what we need to do moving forward, instead of us always assuming. And I saw this when I was trying to before I was starting to get GIFTA off the ground, I was trying to get another business off the ground, and I was trying to raise money to get it off the ground as well. So I was pitching to all these investors over and over again, and spending all my time pitch investors, and no one was biting. So I had this idea. I didn't know if it's going to work, but I was asking someone for their money so I could test the idea out. Then my brother-in-law said to me, well, Tom, why don't you try and create something you can sell straight away? It's very basic, and see if they'll give you some feedback on it and you can make it better. And that's where really the very basics of GIFTA came along from. Is then we could create something tomorrow, we could sell it to somebody, and we could see if we could add value and make it better. And the best thing about that was that after a certain amount of time, brands were paying us, but they're paying us up front as well. So we're front loading us with cash. So all of a sudden, especially when we start working with bigger businesses, all of a sudden we're getting paid up front. Of course, we've got to run a service and we've got to service that product as well. But ultimately, that's like getting lots of mini investments in which you don't have to give equity back. So it's harder. It's a lot harder. And not many people want to go down that route of doing it slowly. But then it means that my time now is spent selling to brands and agencies versus trying to sell to investors to keep the lights on.
Love it. And it's it's another way of looking at investment, isn't it?
Of course.
You know, that whole picture of, oh, we need investment, we've got to go and get funders. Actually, if we just created something of a product that we could sell, that's the investment, because you're getting the investment through a purchase of a product that you're actually selling, whatever that product might be. If you believe in it, right?
We have all the tools in front of us. We have everything in place. You know, there's Canva to create wonderful documents and presentation decks. You've got HubSpot to keep all your customer information in place. You've got Xero to make sure you do all your financing properly. You've got Google Suite to hold all your spreadsheets in. There's no excuse not to start now. And we're not even talking about AI. We haven't even scraped on that. And I know I was chatting to you in the kitchen a little while ago about, you know, what would our businesses look now if we were starting them now, or we had AI back then. I can tell you right now that AI is like my right-hand man. I struggle with so many things. I struggle with English. I struggle with maths. I struggle with focusing on things, and ultimately I can get things done so much quicker and more efficiently with AI by my side. And I just think right now we have this ability just to test and learn a lot more with all those wonderful tools and attach AI to it as well. So yeah, we have so much opportunity with that moving forward.
So what do you love about what you're doing now? What do you really love?
I'm really enjoying trying to make a massive change in the influencer industry. And that change is focusing on building trust with consumers more than anything. It's one of our core key values, is trying to bring back trust into influencer marketing. And we know that we can do that through influencer gifting and seeding because there's no obligation to post. And I want and I feel that influencer gifting can be the foundation of many brands' marketing strategies. It allows us to test, it allows us to learn, it allows us to understand more from the consumer, to make our products better, to make our company better. And it does it in a really risk-free environment that's not overly expensive. And it allows us to inform our other marketing channels on what we could potentially do or not do. And it also gives us a wonderful view on what our competitors are doing as well.
And what's it like being a leader now?
Leader's great. I like being a leader. The realization is I'm not a manager. So, and there's the realization I've had for a while. So I understand, well, I'm starting to understand my strengths and weaknesses. And I feel like I can inspire people. I feel like I can find new products and new services that I'd love to bring into the company. But ultimately, the company gets to a certain size and you naturally want to start thinking, who do we bring in that's better than us in all of these positions? And now we're in this wonderful position to do that, is we can handpick people to come in to join us that are better than us. Like everybody in my team is better than me in what I hire them to do. And I know that leadership is fantastic. I love building cultures. I love motivating people. I love creating an environment people come to work and enjoy it. But they're all really important. But most importantly, I love being able to bring people together to answer more questions and build more products in the future as well. And that's what I'm really excited about. And that's why we don't know where we're going, because we're only just building the team to start doing these wonderful things. The company Dean and I built all those years ago is evolving very quickly. We've done the basics. We've tested the model. We know there's retention. Customers keep coming back. But now it's about evolving it and bringing out new products and services. So, and allowing those people to come in the freedom to evolve it. And I think the other important thing here is like the focus on failure is really, really important. I feel like if you're not failing, you're not working hard enough. So at any one point, failure is good because it means you're stress testing. It means you're pushing the business. Failing multiple times in the same place means you've got a problem. But ultimately, I want the team to know and have the freedom that we can fail, and we fail fast, and we move on and we learn, because we fail consistently. And it's changing that mindset in the whole team, because when we had failures at the beginning at GIFTA, it's kind of like head in the hands. We're over. What do we do? Whereas now is big problem, because problems happen all the time. How do we learn from it as quickly as we can to make our business even better? And I think then if everything's consistently turning over perfectly, I honestly feel like we're not being creative enough or innovating enough or trying new things.
Yeah.
It's just having that freedom to fail.
Yeah, it's a great way of putting it, Tom. And I think that's leadership in a nutshell. I mean, I wasn't aware of how you thought around leadership. But again, based on our conversation, it brings it back to humility for me. You're very grounded in the sense of your thought process, albeit you want to be creative, you want to be in the moment. There's a groundedness there that is coming through loud and clear. That's humility right there. You know, you mentioned about surrounding yourself with people who know more than me. You know, how many leaders out there don't want that? They surround themselves with people who can't do the job because it makes them shine.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. And I think the way that you've just expressed how you want to lead is hopefully a lesson for a lot of people listening to this. You know, surround yourself with people who are great, who can provide the experience that you maybe can't. At the end of the day, that's entrepreneurship, that's leadership, that's people going, do you know what? I've got this, but people are better at it than me. And that for me was a real moment in bringing back all them years ago where you were learning and developing your skills and going, you know, in the moment, and the humility is still there right the way through. And I think that's a real great trait for you. So that's kudos to you, mate. I'm not.
Thank you.
But I just think that was a really powerful, you know, element. So you got obviously Dean.
Yes,
you know,
my
so
best friend.
you always need someone beside
Best
you.
mate,
And
yeah.
obviously, I have Cherie as the work wife. What's Dean like as regards? Is he similar to you? Is he opposite? How was that relationship built?
So Dean and I, for context, so we went to school together.
Right.
We went to school together. We followed each other to university, but we did very different subjects. We then moved to London. We even bought our first flat together. And people said, you know, isn't that a bad idea, buying a flat with your friend? And I said, well, there's probably less chance me and Dean breaking up than a girlfriend. So he's been around from the beginning. And then when he said he was going traveling, I was like, hey, I'm going to go traveling too, but separately, because it was kind of like, well, why not? Wasn't happy. But yeah, he's my best mate. And he's been around from, I think, year 7 or year 8. So when we were really young. So it's just moving on from like the car washing days. And Dean and I would always be spending all our time coming up with different business ideas or brainstorming new things. And you know, he was hustling stuff on the side. I was hustling stuff on the side as well. And we just always had different business ideas. We'd even sit in the car when we were going on long trips away, and we'd specifically make sure we're in the car together. So I know the rest of the guys that we're friends with will get bored of us chatting.
Yeah.
But Dean's got a very different skill set to me. He's an engineer. He's very process orientated. He's very good with systems. He's very good at making things work very, very well. Whereas my skill set is completely the opposite. I see a problem. I like to create a solution. I'm a salesman. I love marketing. So we kind of complement each other really well.
Yeah.
I make something up. I sell it. I hand it over to him to run. He tells me if there's any problems. I can support him as well, and we make it even better. Comes back round, tells us what we need to do better, and then we sell something else.
Brilliant.
So we've always been in this loop. So we're very different people. He's very like pinpoint focus on the numbers, and maybe a bit more risk adverse than me. And I'm like, right, come on, let's go. And I think we come back to the table, and we sit down and we talk through things. And I think one of the biggest things that has helped us is getting a mentor for us both, because we're both very different people. And I think relationships are really important. Work relationships and personal relationships too. Lots of people, because I invest massively in mentorships or any kind of relationship coaching at work, but also I do it at home as well for personal relationships too. And people always say to me, why are you investing in your, I've got a relationship coach. Why are you doing that? Are you okay? I was like, yeah, fine. But I just want to make sure that the relationship with my fiance is the very best it can be. And we're always growing together and doing more together. And the realization is like, if you look in that in a business context, and I tell one of my friends, oh, we've got a relationship coach or a business coach at work. And they go, oh, great. Nice one.
Yeah.
But he's amazing, because he'll sit down and we'll talk through something, and I'll be blowing up about something and he'll be frustrated about something else. But they'll, to sit down and just to listen to each other and understand one another, then as soon as you can understand each other, you can connect and you can talk through it properly. And ultimately, you can get through most problems in business. There are lots of problems that occur. But if you can communicate well, and you can come back to the table properly, and you can understand one another, you can make much bigger decisions moving on.
And that's almost an element of neutralizing, isn't it? If you neutralize, the debate with someone central,
yes,
they'll pick out the best bits,
yes,
and combine it.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, it's a great piece of advice that, don't fear bringing someone in as a mentor or a coach.
No, get them in.
Or someone who's just listening.
Yeah.
I was sat in a room a couple of weeks back, and, that 30,000-foot view of just asking the dumb questions allows you to channel and laser on what you're actually saying, and are we right, and was that a dumb idea or is it a great idea? Sometimes them coaches just play out that part. So it's I think that, again, just from hearing from you, it's a no fear part. There's no boundaries there.
No.
We're an open book. Just help us.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good trait to have. Again, it's a good leadership, mate. It's something that I think, again, people need to embrace rather than, we've got a mentor, and it's good leadership, and it just balances it. It neutralizes what you're trying to do, and also, it balances the scales. That's what I was trying to say. You've not got one side dominant. If someone's sat in the middle, they'll counter it and make sure that you're balanced in what the next step is.
Yeah, you do. It's worth its weight in gold to have the right people around you all the time, and people you can trust, people you can turn to, people you can ask questions to as well. And mentorship is a big, it's so important. I try and mentor people who are starting out, because I really value the mentorship I'm getting from people that have even sold their businesses and moved on. I think everything comes 360 and full loop, because ultimately, if you can help others and others can help other people, then ultimately we can all grow and learn together. I think it's really important.
Love that. I'm going to touch on one last thing. You mentioned it, and we've not touched on it, but I'm going to bring it back. Travel.
Yes.
I know you've done a bit of traveling.
Yes.
How important was travel to the mindset for you in just getting out there and seeing the world?
I think I had a turning point when I was 31. Just come out of a long relationship. Wasn't really enjoying my job. I was enjoying it, but I didn't love it. I saw the founders coming in every day. They're having a great time. I was earning amazing money, and I thought I'd never earn, but I just wasn't fulfilled. I didn't care about the money. I just wanted to kind of create things and build solutions to problems. And it was at that point when Dean said, I'm going to go traveling. And I thought, you know what? could be a good time for me to go. And all those things that you worry about, and the point of things holding you back in the past, you know, can I get a remortgage? You know, what am I going to do without this money coming in? And as soon as you make the decision, because it is a really big decision. I remember being in, like, just before I went traveling, I was in tears. Like, what have I done? This is ridiculous. I've got a nice flat. I've got a great job. Why am I just going traveling? It's absolutely ridiculous. I had a side business as well that gave me a little bit of income whilst I was away, and it helped me pay for my flights and things as well. But it wasn't until I took a step from that rat race, which it is, and I had the freedom to think and breathe and take everything in, that all of a sudden I could see things in a completely different way. And the other realization is that the world doesn't stop just because you've left your job. And actually, quitting your job is sometimes the best thing you can do for certain people. Someone said to me, Tom, when you come back, if you can make just enough money to pay for your bare essentials, maybe your rent, maybe your like food and drink, I needed 1,500 quid. I can find a way to make 1,500 quid a month quite quickly. As soon as I did, and we got gifted to that level, moved straight back to London. And that freedom when I was traveling, and that ability to get away from that 9 till 5 gave me that motivation to say to myself, I can do this. And that was the turning point for me. And I've never gone back. As soon as I came back, luckily we had the pandemic. I was thrown back into the pandemic, couldn't do anything else than start businesses. But yes, it was the biggest leap to take is leaving your job. And I don't necessarily recommend doing it in that way. I had kind of a side business on as well. It gave me a bit of income. But there's no stopping people now having and hustling on the side and starting businesses on the side. I'm the biggest advocate of that as well. So at GIFTA, we're a 4-day work week company, and we're going to stay true to that for as long as we can. Hopefully it's forever. But I fully support the team having a business or a side hustle as well, because I remember being at companies with you or other companies in the past, and they made it very clear in the contract, you'll be penalized if you ever found out that you've started a company or you have any other income from anywhere else. I just think that's wrong. Absolutely wrong. I think ultimately, if you allow people the creative and the freedom to go out and create solutions to problems and start businesses, we can all learn from that together. So I now have my team come in and go, oh, I'm just trying to start this up. They have the Friday off, or they might want to work on it in the evenings. And then I have the team working on the most interesting projects outside of their day job that actually we can all learn on together, or I can help them with too. And I think innovation and creativity can come from so many different things, but if employers keep controlling employees, what good does it do?
It's culture, mate.
Yeah.
You've set a culture that is quite inspiring, to be honest. And I hope people really pick that up when they listen to this, because it's if you're not embracing the opportunities around you and the people that are there, you are going to become stale at some point. Wherever that cliff face is, it'll arrive at some point. So the ability to keep moving and keep shaping what you're doing, but doing it through your people, is just a great gift back to them, isn't it? It's almost like there's the freedom. I reckon, and I don't know this, but I reckon that they'll be sticking around with GIFTA for a long time because of the culture that they work in.
I hope so.
And that's
important.
Important, isn't it?
Yeah. We've had, we're 5 years in now, and we've not had one full-time member of staff leave. And I feel proud of that. But also, I massively will support somebody if they do want to leave, or they're not happy, or they want to try a new challenge. Completely support that. I understand that some people will be with GIFTA maybe until the end, and that's amazing. Some may only want to be with us for a short space of time as well. But all those individual people play such an important role in us moving forward. But I want to make sure I support them moving forward to their next role too. And if that's not within GIFTA, then I'll make sure I'll support them and find the right role for them outside of GIFTA as well.
Brilliant. Tom, what's the one final piece of advice for anybody watching this, listening, that you would give out there as a leader of a business, as an entrepreneur, what's the one piece of advice that you'd give?
For me, the biggest risk is not taking a risk. Just get on with it and start it, and don't have any regrets. And not having any regrets is the biggest thing that drives me. I don't want to sit there when I'm 70 or 80 and say, I wish I'd tried that. I'd far rather say, I wish I'd tried it and it worked bloody well, or I tried it and it didn't work well. I kept going, and that's the most important thing for me. I want to know I gave it a go.
Tom Higgins.
Thank you.
Brilliant to see you, mate.
Thanks, Nick.
Good luck with the future.
Thank you.